Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Tuesday, August 5th. Market is holding on pretty good. We had some earnings come out yesterday. Palantir came out. That's one of the big AI names, and that looks like it's up quite a bit. So that's a good little nugget there. Overall, market still seems to be net to the upside across the board. And probably some other earnings came out as well. But that's one of the one I'm watching as part of the AI, the bigger AI trade. So yesterday's action was pretty good. I mean, the big question we had going into the close was were they going to be able to hold this 6350 volume edge, and they did. They popped it right up above it and held, and the overnight has been holding above it as well. So we can start from the long side this morning. But right back up above this edge, as long as they hold that 6350 volume edge, I think we are in good shape to take this higher. At least stay in this range. So this move out in the middle, we've been watching to the upside. Definitely ran out of gas. They run it all the way down. Look at how violent that was. From the top here, 64, 65, all the way down here to the 62.30s in 2 sessions. Then retracement, half of that again in the third session, and now we are sideways. At least to get started. I mean, we don't know how this whole thing is going to end up though, but it's at least it wasn't a free for all to the downside yesterday. But we'll see how the rest of the day here shapes up. Not a whole lot of news this week to drive the market. Yesterday was just one piece. This morning though, we have a little bit more. At 8:30 we get international trade. At 9:45 we get PMI composite. At the ISM services at 10. We have a 3-year auction at 1. So 8:30, 9:45, and 10 we have news this morning. And that's kind of how the whole thing shakes out. So I mean, it's none of that news I think is really going to drive the market a whole lot, but I think the ISM number may be the bound to watch, but we'll see how the market reacts to it. The 9:45, 8:30, 9:45, and 10 is where we have news this morning. And then we'll see if these are earnings, because the earnings season has been pretty good. I mean, so far it hasn't been a ton of disappointments. There have been some companies coming out with earnings, but the guidance hasn't been good enough, so they get punished. But on the stock side, but it's so far earnings has been pretty good. So market should be at least correction-wise, not in a big rush to correct. Uh, but as I said, this morning we're starting off on the long side, watching that volume edge 6350s, see if they can hold above that. So initially looking to buy weakness, 6360s, the 50s down to the 45, see if rotations back up. If the trade below that 45, I'm taking off that long bias, going back to that range bound. So fairly aggressive on taking off that upward bias if they can't really if they can't extend to the upside this morning. Early weakness not further down than the 45s before I take off the long bias on that one. So fairly aggressive on that this morning. And that's just because the little pop we had from yesterday's earnings related, they've been holding on to the gains. They can certainly knock this down pretty quick if there's some profit taking going on or something. But I'm going to start off thinking that we may have a shot at taking this back up again. So starting off on the long side, looking to buy against the 60s, the 50s down to the 45s for rotations back up. Short side, not going to be super aggressive initially, but the 75s, 95s, 6405s, definitely opportunity for short setups. That's right, yes, back up, reverse, retesting that lower edge for a potential move to the downside. So if they start retracing this little low volume area, we start reverse retesting that lower distribution on this little prior move to the upside. It's going to be around the 6390s up to that 45s. So that's these two resistance areas. If both of them comes out, we are back on track. We are back heading higher. So I think the better shorts, or the only short I'm really going to consider, is going to be up here against the 95s and the 6405s for rotations back down. Now it could always be short-term scalping shorts depending on how the market develops, and you can fall back on the F4 for those kind of levels. But it's you had to kind of wait for the data to show how directional versus range band is going to be. But to get this day started, that's how we're going to start. So looking to buy weakness. Let's see if body can take it. Could be a nice long trade running it up to that 95 to 405 edge right there. We'll see how that shakes out at the open. Not that much to lean against here in between. I mean, you can see they've been up and down here, but fairly equally. Nothing really super obvious to lean against until we get up here to that upper edge at 95 and the 6405. Both of them comes out. We are back on the long side, looking to see how far they can take it. So that's the ES this morning. And on the way down, if they stay below the 63.45, just so you know, if I trade below that one, we're still looking to buy weakness. I would watch these lower edges. The 63.30 here. If that one starts coming out, I would be a bit more concerned about the short side. I missed an edge there. I want to put this guy in the books right there, like so. So if they it starts trading below the 63.45, we're taking off the long bias. Still looking to buy against the 30s down to 15s here, maybe down to the 63.10s. Just a little bit less aggressively. At that point, I think we may be back down here, running it down to test these lows. So if they start trading down below this volume edge, start retracing, you'll see them start coming down to this edge, the 63.10 to 20, and that's these two areas right there. And then that starts coming out. Yeah, well, we are right back in this lower range. I think everything changes at that point. So you can see a day like this, a day certainly could start by backing off a little bit, then they start piling on, and we'll find ourselves right back down here pushing the lows again. So that could certainly happen. Not going to rule that out by any means, but we'll see. The first indication is going to be they take out the 45s. The 30s start raising a red flag, and then you watch these lower edges, how that's going to go. But I would still be looking for buying opportunities against them at least the first time to these levels. And if they keep going, they just stay on the short side at that point. So that's the caveat for today, if they are going to start backing off or not. Looking at NASDAQ and the bonds, real quick, bond market. It's not doing much, as staying here in the 115.20s. So they run it pretty good to the upside. Right now they're trading right back down to this edge, reverse retesting it again. So at this point, if they hold this edge 15.10, 115 to 115.10, around about there of support, we can certainly take this higher. But we'll see if they can have enough juice to do that. If they trade below that edge, the 115.10s, I would just take off the long bias, go back range bound. We're looking for rotation back here to the 114.20s at that point. So fairly aggressive and shifting my bias on the bonds. Initially looking to buy against the, took that edge out, so 15.20s, it took that out, or taking that out. 15.16 down to that 15.10. Below that 15.10 edge, going to be a little bit less aggressive buying it. Still looking to buy against the 15.05s and 115s. And below 115s, I'll be back down in this lower range again. So we're going to buy against these support areas. The initial ones I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive on would be the 15.16s and the 15.10s for rotations back up again. And on the short side, not going to be super aggressive on the short side, though bonds has been pretty darn range bound, so for most of the trading, so definitely short opportunities against the 15.26s, the 116s and 116.04s for rotations back down there. If they take out the 116.04s, I'll stay on the long side. NASDAQ, that's a guy I give some hope for today. So NASDAQ is one I think can lead us higher, and that would be a function of that AI trade again. It's a good AI tech earnings. Yeah, market moving higher, and that could certainly drive this right back up again, and that's going to drag the ES with it. So looking to buy weakness on the NASDAQ. I would say that we are well above this area, so watch that to 23,300s. If that area comes out, we may have a little bit more. We may see this come back off a little bit. But so initially, I would look to buy against the 23,350s, the 310s, down to that 260s. For rotations back up below the 260, really below the 300s, I would start thinking about taking off the long bias. But on the NASDAQ, since it's so volatile, I'll include that 260 as well this time. So 3 levels down. Below the 190s, I'm gonna definitely be back in the range bound, maybe even look for retracement to the downside at that point. But it's below that 190. That is this level right there, and not quite down here. Below that 100 to 120. That's where you really start thinking about the short side on this guy. That's then, yeah, then we're right back in this lower range, potentially retracing back to the lows again. So these two support areas, they're looking to buy against weakness as they back off, if they do that. But for a long setup, I would be more aggressive on these first three ones below the 260s, less aggressive. The 190s and the 130, 140s, I would include those as well. If they start trading below that, the 140s, I think we are heading lower again at that point. So we'll see how this the news here on the and this some of this AI stock is going to potentially drive this higher. And then on the short side, not going to be very aggressive on the short side on the Nasdaq. I think early on here, we are well above that 300 edge, and I would say we have a nice ledge here. Show you that before I leave it. This guy right there at the 420s. We talked about that on the way down. So these two edges here potentially could give us short opportunities. The 390s, 420s, up to the 460s. So these three levels. If all of them come out, these three levels, I think we are right back up again. Because this is the level we're looking at when they were backing off. If that holds, we are in good shape to take it higher. Now we are reverse retesting that level. So if they take it out, I think I would be a lot more comfortable staying on the long side. Finally, oil and gold. So oil just backed off a little bit. So they are slowly grinding this to the downside, finally. And watch this lower edge, as we've been saying. Watch this 64.50 or 64 to 65 level. That whole area comes out, we are heading lower. So they're still running down here, testing these lower edges. So I would still be looking to buy against the 65.40s, 65s, 64.70s down to the 64s. But all of these come out, especially they clean up that 64 area, we are heading lower at that point. So I would still look to buy against support with the assumption that they won't take out the edge. But I mean, they've been kind of working this area for a bit now, so I think they may be due for a move. So we'll find out. So starting off with a slight bias to the downside. If they trade up above that 66.30s, I'm back range bound again. So sorry, I was flipping back and forth here, but so initially looking to buy against these support areas. On the way up, looking for shorts against the 66s and the 66.30s for rotations back down. If they're back up above that the London high, 66.30s, we're back range bound at that point. So fairly aggressive on taking off that short bias if they back off and starts trading back up towards the mean here. But this volume edge is pretty good. Chances that they're going to take it out, this always has been pretty weak. And we don't really have any news to take it out. So we'll find out here if there could be something else brewing. Tariff headlines could certainly move the market like that in a pretty good clip. Finally, oil and gold. Sorry, gold. I'm talking about gold. There you go. Hang on. All right. So gold on the way down. A little bit back here to that attractor area. Big move to the upside in the last few days. But they ran promptly out of the gas as they got up to this area. It's amazing how gold can move. This was on the employment situation. They ran it all the way up here to that edge. The Monday extended. Now they're right back in down here again, back to this lower area. But probing to the upside, pretty good one at that. So I would start off looking to buy weakness. Well, I would start off looking for weakness to see how far they can take it. I would still look to buy it here at these levels. Yeah, right now at least, they're pretty much back at this attractor area. So, but it could be very well that they're running over this edge a little bit. So I would just give it a level 2 more to see if they're going to back off. But if they can't get up above this area, I would say this ledge 34.15s. So it's going to be this area. If they can get up above that one, I think you have a good shot for them to retrace to the upside. Confirmation above that 34.20. So they take out resistance at 15 and 20. I would be back on the long side pretty aggressively. But it's at this point, I would look for short setup against the 15s and the 20s for rotations back down. I would look to buy against the 3405s, 3404s, and the 3400s for rotations back up. And but that's just early on here, so not going to be super aggressive on that long side. Just but I'm still looking to buy against it, given that they may stall right here at this attractor. So if they just backed off and not going to go further, fine. We're probably going to see a range bound day run about this attractor, but at this point we could see that overnight reverse pretty hard, and that would be a pretty quick thing. You'll see if 20 comes out, try to get long and see if they can run up here, test the highs at that point. And if they are going to back off further, you'll see them take out that 3400s. And if that's the case, I would probably stay and look for more weakness and see if they can take it lower. Still looking potentially to buy against these support areas, because it's pretty much a resistance all the way down here. But they take out this area, the 3385, 8085. We talked about that quite a few times. I think at that point we can head all the way down here to the 3340s. So I think that's your better support area at the 3380s. That would be down here at this level right there. So that comes out, we're back on the short side, but initially I'm looking to buy early on, and if they take out the 3400, I'm going to be looking for further weakness here. They can take it lower. Still looking for potentially buying opportunities against 93.87s and the 33.80s. Just a little bit less aggressive about it, because at that point we are moving lower in the distribution. All right, so that's gold. Let's see if they are going to back off further, or if this is just a reverse retest. So that's gold. So oil is starting off with looking for early weakness, same as gold, and see if they can take it lower. And but they're still trading up against these edges. And we got a little bit of action on the market right here at the right about 8:15. It's no news at 8:15 as far as I know. Nope. So who knows what that was all about? But the big move, little move going on there. So we'll wrap it there for now. So we have a starting point for the ES and Nasdaq this morning, and then we'll see how things develop. So good trading, guys. And I will start off. I'll see you guys back at 11:30 for the next update. All right, guys, later.